Hello and welcome to livealittlehigher.com. This week we keep learning Pirkei Avot, Ethics of the Fathers, with chapter 4, Mishna 16, in which Rabbi Yehuda says, "Be meticulous in study, for a careless misinterpretation is considered tantamount to willfully transgression." So, in the ritual of Vidui that we do every year in Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, that we ask forgiveness, that we confess for our sins, we cite a number of wrongdoings that we do, which human beings are very vulnerable to doing these sins because of temptation, of pleasure, of desires. But there's one that is very strange that is there, and it's called Yuatznura. We have given bad advice. And we have to ask forgiveness because we have given bad advice. And it's understandable that a person in a moment of weakness would fall into the category of other sins. But this one of giving bad advice really is not something that is a temptation. It's not something that you decide, oh, you know what, I'm going to give this person a bad advice so they go wrong. Most people wouldn't do that. Most people give advice with the best of intentions, thinking that the advice they're giving is the best advice, and it's not something that gives you pleasure to give advice. It's not like going and eating a shrimp, for example. So the question is, why would we recite this confession in the Vidui prayer? So the answer is that no one is really suspected of being malicious and deliberately misleading another person. Like nobody's gonna say, oh, this person did it because he wanted that person to stray. However, it is possible that a person may give others what he feels to be good, sound advice, but is unaware that the advice is in fact bad, that he's not equipped to give this advice. So for example, if someone comes to me and says, Margie, I'm having a problem with addiction, like the reality, I know nothing about addiction. I have never experienced it. I'm not a licensed psychologist or psychiatrist or medical head to come and say this person needs this person needs this. I have no idea how to treat a person that's suffering from this illness. So if I go and I give them advice, like the good advice I can give them is go to a professional. That's good advice. But if I'm going to put myself in the place of a professional and I'm going to start giving advice to this person to do this, to do that, that is what this Mishna is referring to. So if a physician has not adequate experience in treating a certain disease, for example, if a person goes to their physician and they're having this problem, and actually that problem has to be treated by another type of doctor, the doctor should refer this person to go to the specialist in this situation that would be able to help this person. If he starts taking matters into his hands and prescribing medication to this patient, and maybe he's going to do something bad for him because he doesn't know the whole way of treating this disease, then this is called malpractice. So this standard should apply to everybody in our lives, in giving advice, in talking to other people about how they should live their lives and do their things. You have to be very careful because you really have to be a person that is knowledgeable. So even much book learning and education not always is sufficient. And it says here that the lack of knowledge of the patterns of abuse, for example, if someone comes and tells the parents like they're being abused by their husband, and the parents say, the husband comes to the parents and say, I promise you that I will never abuse your child again, and the parents tell the daughter, go back to your husband, it's bad advice, because if the parents don't know the patterns of an abusive person, they're throwing their daughter in the lion's den. And this is what this Mishnah is trying to convey. So Yoatznu Ra does not refer to deliberate sin, but rather to inadvertently giving improper advice. Yet it is on par with all the other sins in the Vidui, and one is a culpable for this as for the others. Insufficient knowledge is not a defense, because if one did not know, then one should have known before giving advice to others. So if we don't know, we have to know we don't know, and we should give the advice to the other person that we don't know, but they should go to this such and such person that they know. So be meticulous in study, for careless misinterpretation is considered tantamount to willful transgression, and this is also true of advice. So it's not only in regard to life, it's also in regard to Torah matters. Like if a person goes to a rabbi to ask advice about a certain matter, and if the rabbi is not learned in this certain matter, he should also refer the person to a person that is knowledgeable in that matter. So this is something important for our lives, in our daily lives, and to keep in our minds that it's a sin to give bad advice, because when we give bad advice, that person really goes wrong, and not only we sin by giving them bad advice, but we make them sin too by doing the wrong thing. So I leave you here today. I wish you a blessed week, and remember, live a little higher. Thank you.